Hey yo, what's up? What's up, little niggas? How y'all doing? You know what I'm saying? It's late, and you know, it's late out here, but that's okay. What we's about to do, right? We about to just do a little value, you know what I mean? A little value check. What do I mean by that? I don't know, but we're going to learn values, uh, and how do you learn to visualize values or value shapes, or different values within like a shadow shape basically, or different values within an image. So let's go find something to do that with. I suggest we look at a cast. Right, first let's go to Google, because what the hell, right? Cast, yeah, I just put cast, love it. Cast, not a drawing. You could do drawings too. You just gotta be really good. I would suggest like Russian drawings. Yeah, let's do that. Russian cast drawings. Alright, we got, you know what I'm saying? What's a good one? I mean, this is an example of what I'm talking about right here, looking at the shadows first. So, you'd have like, you just block it out. You first do like that original, I guess they call it a contour or whatever. I don't know what the name of any of this shit is, you know what I'm saying? But it'd be like a contour, you know? And then you would just block in the shadows first. You would never actually draw like the anatomy of the eye first. That's the quickest way to draw a really crappy eye. And this is all coming from a guy, again, I don't know nothing. I'm learning with y'all, right? I'm not, like, if you say, oh, who is this guy? Let me look up his work. You'll find absolutely nothing. Or you'll find trash. What I'm telling you is just from what I am legitimately currently learning with you. Alright. So this is an easy example right here. Let's save this guy's head. You know? Uh, I am unorganized. Let's do a quick folder for these. Here, cast stuff. I don't know. I am not good at naming things, y'all. Cast one. Yeah. That's it. How the fuck we get checked? What? Cast one. Yeah. There you go. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Alright. And then what we gonna do, right? We are gonna go to this and then open new. No, yeah, we'll still do it like that. And then, you know what I mean? You go here, import image, cast one. Large she blows. Look at that bad boy. See him? Gorgeous. Alright. Hold on, let me connect my thing over here. Gotta connect the joint. The Wacom. Shout out to the Wacom, good. Alright. Okie dokie now. Okie dokie. Get a little swig of water, a little swig, you know what I'm saying? That's crazy. Hold on. What the hell? Oh, y'all, I just realized something new. This is so cool. I can choose to either toggle, like, on my pen, on my stylus, right? I can, like, click it and I can just, like, move. I didn't even, like, well, I knew that part. I already knew I could click it and then, move it because I set it like that for the pan, right? But what I didn't know, because I thought Krita was only doing that, because I was using Krita in the other video. But I didn't know that I can just like hold it real quick instead, and then it'll go back to drawing and just move. That is so much easier. Oh my god! Instead of having to click back over like this over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Wow, that's crazy, son. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. Whatever. I get excited by small stuff like that. I have no idea why. But anyway, yeah, so basically, right? First, I mean, let's identify what the shadows are. Should be pretty simple, right? So, what are the core shadows? Well, first, let's break it down like this. Hold on. That's crazy. Oh, yeah, this is not like Krita, man. I gotta get back right, you know what I'm saying? Shadows. Ooh, that's too deep. That's too light. Shadows, right? So, I mean, you got a whole bunch of shit, right? Penumbras and all that. We ain't worried about that. What we worry about is that core. Yeah, I mean, core shadow. Cast shadow. Shit, and really just a halftone. But you can break the halftone into like the light and the dark light and all that nonsense. We don't need to worry about none of that right now. Okay. We just worry about this core and we worry about this cast. But in reality, we really just worry more so about the core. Okay. But I put the cast in there because I think it practices three-dimensionality better on the fly when you do that instead of just sticking directly to just the core shadow, right? Because they just go so hand in hand together, like example, let's zoom in on this nose, okay? Core shadow, boom, cast shadow, right there. You feel me? So you might as well just fill it in, and it's easier to. I feel it'd be easier to recognize if you bundle them together like that. But I could be wrong. I ain't nobody. Like I said, I'm just a guy that's learning. So up here in the eye is your highlight with the halftone. This is your core shadow right here. And underneath the brow. Underneath the brow would be the cast. Yeah. If I'm wrong on that, then I'm wrong on that. But just know that, just remember this, because here's what really matters, right? Whether I'm wrong or not doesn't really matter, because you'll figure that out along the way. That is something you'll figure out along the way, not like anatomy or whatever. You'll have to like actually look that up. But this, the more you do it, it really is just like the better you get, as long as you understand like the true, just like very basic stuff, I guess, from what I have seen. Again, You've seen my drawings if you've looked at my channel. I can't draw this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not on this level. But core, right? Core shadow is normally lighter, from what I have witnessed, right? Than the cast shadow. So lighter than cast, darker than core, from what I have seen. So, like, example, right? Get you one of these little boxes here, right? You'll have this, right, as your core, and then let me outline the. That's terrible. Whatever. You'll have that as your core, and then how do you make this darker? I don't remember how to use this crap. Opacity, yeah. Then this would be like darker than that, you know. From what I have seen, the core shadow is darker than the I'm sorry, the cast shadow is darker normally than the core shadow. Now, how true this is, I don't know. Go get yourself an art education. I'm just here learning just like you. So I could be totally wrong. Oh shit. I'm messing up. Yeah, it's opacity. How do you get the opacity back to where it was? Cause that I could have just did Control Z, I believe, but whatever. Yeah, so it's kind of like what I've seen. But yeah, so now that we got that out the way, right? Which I could totally be wrong on. If I'm wrong, hey, if I'm lying, I'm dying. You know what I'm saying? So let me see. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is just outline this, right? Really, I'm gonna just trace it because I'm lazy. You know what I'm saying? So hold on. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, little boy. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Alright, just do a very crude tracing of this. Yeah. This man's neck is wild. Jeez Louise. Look at that. By the way, I heard this is a good way on how you get better, by tracing masterworks. This is what the masters did back in the day. They would either trace or they do just straight master copies, but they would do them for a reason. That's the thing. They wouldn't do them just willy-nilly and then call it their own work. They'll do it to educate themselves, specifically on stuff like this. Shadows, right? Shadow shapes. I think that's good enough. Hold on. I don't want to put too much detail in this. Okay. Let's define the ear in there. Notice another thing with the ear, the bottom of that earlobe is never supposed to go farther than that cheekbone, right? He's looking upwards, so it's supposed to kind of, that's why like his cheekbone is like curved like that. But that's how that's supposed to work. Just a little FYI. Another thing, if you're ever trying to place the ear, you look at the eye. I got that from some old Russian book that I actually still have downloaded. I think I just downloaded that again. It was like a Russian Academy book. I don't know. Academy. No, nothing popped up. I think, let me check my anatomy here. Anatomy folder. Oh, here's the book I was looking for before about the simplified forms. I found it again. Oh man, this is the book you need. Like, this is the #1 book you need, right? Like, this will simplify anatomy for you on a level. We're not talking about this right now. I'm gonna go back around and do another video with this book here. It's just going over that book really, but that book is so important, bro. Like, it is so important. My goodness. But anyway, this is an old reppin' trick, right? Reppin' was like if you want to get the size of the eye right, not the eye, the ear right, and the placement of the ear right, you got to look at the eye. So the length between the eye socket to the base of the nose, right, should be from like right there, right? Should be the same space between from where the ear is to where the beginning of the eye socket is. And it looks like it is. Let me just measure this with my hand. Yeah, my finger. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's perfect. And then also, this length between the end of the eye socket to the base of the nose, or the beginning of the nose, whatever, is also supposed to be the length of the nose down. So it's supposed to also be like that as well, basically. All of these are supposed to kind of be the same length, you know. One thing I would suggest doing is studying the planes of just like the head overall and all that. I don't know them myself. I'm still studying them myself. But that is something that will help you in the long run, especially when it comes to shading, because you can just break down those planes and know exactly how to shade, well, any form, well, any side of the face. Okay, back to what I was doing. So I made my little crude drawing here, right? And now I just need to grab how do I, Jesus Christ. See, there's a lot of stuff I still don't know myself. Okay, there it is. Okay. Now we can put that right there. Okay. I'll take a drawing, move that over here. I like it the other way. Let's just switch it back. I don't know why I'm doing that. Yeah, let's just do it this way. There she blows. Okay. Alright. Now we have the crude drawing of the head. It doesn't matter if it's like perfect. You just need to get like the basics down. And now you're just gonna refill in where those shadows are. But before you do that, you're gonna draw the lines of the Terminator. What is, well, you guys should know what the Terminator is. Again, I'm not your teacher, you should know what the fucking Terminator is. So, anyway, what you would do here is squint your eyes, right? Squint your eyes to really try to see where those darks are within the image. Anything that's not light, right? Draw a shape that represents that. Okay, so example down here, boom, see that, boom, and you can do the same thing back over there if you want to, you know. And then this is a full shape itself. It's all really one shape, you know, if you really look at it. The bottom of the chin there is kind of cut off, which is fine. You'll go like that. Oh wait, I put the cheek too high. Cheek is way too high. Okay, let me try it again. Okay, like that. And then like this, cheek, right? And then curve. You know what I mean? Like that, right? And then eye, like that. You know what I'm saying? Eye. Like this. Alright. And then the other way around here on the other side. Hold up. That one is like right. Oof. Alright. Yeah. Okay. So now you would separate the shapes from the cast and the core. So cast is just the one that's black. Not black. Actually, you know what? If you're looking, this cast shadow here is lighter than the core shadow there, right? So you can disregard what I said. I could be wrong. Like I said, I don't fucking know. I'm learning like y'all, man. You know what I'm saying? And you can just fill that in. Don't worry about any details. And this is what I've just picked up from looking at, like, what do you call it? Whatchamacallit? What do you call it? Paintings. When people paint, right? When they do oil paintings, they'll just block in whole sections of the face, head, whatever, and then just go back in and add the detail after the fact. Like they'll block an entire eye. They will draw out the eye socket and then just blacken it. And then go back in and paint over the black with the well, yeah, just paint it. And it looks great. It looks amazing when they do that. So I just kind of give it that feel because at the end of the day, painting is drawing. So, oh yeah, I was supposed to outline that too. I didn't do that. And then, bada bing, bada boom. Yeah. Terrible. Well, that's okay. So this here is the cast shadow. Alright. Now, why their cast shadow is bright, like I said, is bright. I mean, it's just how the light's hitting it. Now, I thought, like I was saying, I thought that the cast shadow, right, was supposed to be darker. But I guess not. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But yeah, we can just fill in this cast shadow here. Oh shit. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Bro, what am I doing? Just put the fucking brush size bigger. Horrible strokes. Absolutely horrible. It's all good though, you know what I'm saying? We'll get there. Education is everything. You know what I'm saying? Everything. Animals will dun dun dun. Okay. Um. Yeah. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. But that's okay, right? But what you would do in this situation, okay, is at this point you would hold on. At this point you would start filling in details, basically. Yeah. So you would like go back in, redefine the ear, you know. I don't know your anatomy, so I don't know that shit at all, honestly. So that's all I got right now. And then uh, you would make the shadow shape interesting. Well, how would you do that? You just make highlights, right? That part I do know. How do you make a shadow shape interesting? You put light on that shadow, and you just that's it. That's the thing. It's basically just doing. Again, I learned that from Steven Zapata's course, where I didn't learn that from him. He was saying just to make interesting shadow shapes from the jump. I said this before, I think, to you guys. Like he would just be able to, uh, you know, mm, 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 do, 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 do. Like Steven Zapata would just be able to like take something like this, right? And then Jesus, that's bad. Where is the clavicle when you need one? Jeez, hold on. Okay, I wasn't supposed to go this deep with it, but okay, all right. Anyway, um, he would take something like this, right? Let me zoom in, and he would just look at it and be like, you know what, bro? You know what looks good on this? Something like this. You know what I'm saying? And then just make a shadow. He said you're supposed to turn your brain off when you do it. I can't do that. And then he just fill it in. You know what I'm saying? And that would be the shadow, right? If the light's coming this way, then I guess that would make sense. I don't know. You know, if it's hitting really hard right here directly, then this would be in shadow, like the upper side of the body would be in the shadow, maybe. You know, but I do it differently, where I just draw a line on it and make a boring shadow shape, and then I come back in with the highlights. So, boring shadow shape as a prime example, okay? But this has highlights. Has a highlight on the ear, has a highlight on that cheek part there that pops out, right? So I'm always so quick to erase. Erasing is not the way to do that. Just go to white. Now I can pop this out, you know. Oh wait, I don't want to high opacity on that at all. I really want it to be smooth. See, I'm not really this digital art shit, man. I tell you, I'm not really that nigga for this. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Okay. You know, like, that's bad, but I need this to be bigger, bro. It's just making streaks. There we go. You know, something like that, a little light, you know what I mean? And then on the ear, you would do, I think that's on the ear. It might be the hair. I think it might be the hair. But, do a light like that, you know? I'll just put one in myself, right here on the temple, or the side of the temple. Yeah, and now that's starting to look better. And at this point, all you would do is just smooth out this end. I actually think they have like a blend option on here, but I don't know, man. Let me see. Yeah, they got blend right here. Yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of how you would do it. I mean, it got that halo effect because it's not. Oh shit, I'm still white. Because it's not. Jesus, dude. Hold on. Wow. What is the opacity on this? Two, nigga? Like, what the fuck? Okay. That's making it way darker than I needed to. It's just creating a whole nother Terminator, bro. But whatever, nigga. Y'all know what I mean, okay? Let me try to blend that. Let me just try. Let me try to blend that a little bit. Yes, there we go. That looks better. Okay. All right. So, um, yeah, that's basically, you know what I mean, what it is in the streets. You're just looking for the shadow shapes that are interesting. You can either do it by just going directly at it and just making an interesting shadow shape at the very beginning, which is much easier to do for some people. For me, it's extremely difficult. Don't understand it at all. But for the people who don't understand, just focus on making really interesting highlights then, right? Like, just focus on, like, let me see example here. Da, da, da. How do we get to this color? Okay. All right. What the heck? What am I missing? What am I doing wrong here? What's going on? What we doing? What we doing, pops? What we doing, y'all? Oh, that's right. I'm gonna miss it. Okay. That's bad. That's too large. Undo. Opacity down. No, opacity up. Brush down. Yeah. Okay. You see that? That don't really make sense. But it's something, And then, if you know the anatomy, that's why anatomy is so important. Because if you know the anatomy, it's easier to make interesting highlights because you can pick out what parts of the anatomy you want to be shown, through the highlight. Let's blend this, right? We get rid of these harder edges on it. Nice. It's not nice, but it is interesting. I'll say that. Jesus Christ. I just gave him shitty nipples. You can't just blend everything. You gotta draw it right. Okay, but yeah, so that is a way of doing it. I messed this up though. It's not really defined, But what you could have done, you could have took the serratus muscles, right? Like that part. You know what I'm saying? Which is a horrible way of drawing it. But you could have colored, you could have lit that up, and shown that would have worked. Part of the deltoid, right? That would have worked. Part of the clavicle, You could put highlights on all that, and even like a part of the breast. Shit, I forgot the name of it, but yeah. Even though I failed at that, showing you that, but yeah. But yeah, man, it's all values at the end of the day. Once you get this down, though, which I haven't, as you can see, but once you get this down, bro, you can do anything. You really can. Just do whatever. You know, like this, everything you make at that point is gonna look 3D. So you don't even. Hold on. You don't even need to really worry about much. At that point, you cooking. I don't even know what I'm doing. Terrible hair. I haven't practiced hair like at all, bro. That is not on the forefront of my mind at all. It needs to be there, but no. Gross. Okay. That's all I wanted to share today. So, yeah, man.